Stalingrad is often called the bloodiest battle of all time. But what if we told you it wasn't alone? Over 2 million casualties. Stalingrad became the face of total war, but beyond its ruins lie forgotten fields of equal horror. This is the untold story of the bloodiest battles you were never taught. Siege of Leningrad lasted 872 days. Over 1 million civilians died, mostly from starvation. It wasn't just a siege, it was a slow, brutal extermination. April 1945, as the Red Army stormed Hitler's capital, over 1.3 million soldiers clashed in a final bloodbath. Civilians were caught between vengeance and survival. Over 600,000 deaths in just weeks. The Battle of the Somme wasn't just long, it was slaughter. On day one alone, the British suffered 57,000 casualties. Total toll, 1 million dead and wounded. Okinawa was hell in the Pacific. Nearly 300,000 dead, with civilians jumping off cliffs to avoid capture. This was more than a battle. It was a preview of what the invasion of Japan could have been. Called the Rzhev Meat Grinder, the series of battles cost over 1.5 million lives. Default text yet barely made the headlines. Soldiers froze, bled, and vanished in a war of attrition the world barely remembers. Some battles are too complex, too quiet, or too politically inconvenient to be remembered. Their scars run just as deep. Stalingrad was iconic, but it wasn't alone. From Rzhev to Okinawa, from Berlin to the Somme, the true cost of war is far greater than one name. Default text Stalingrad. The name echoes through history like a thunderclap. The bloodiest battle of all time. Over 2 million casualties. A city turned graveyard. It became the face of total war. But what if we told you Stalingrad was never alone? Before Stalingrad became a symbol, Leningrad was already dying. The Siege of Leningrad lasted 872 days. That's nearly 2.5 years of hunger, freezing, and daily bombings. Over 1 million civilians perished mostly from starvation. It wasn't just a siege. It was slow, calculated extermination. Bread was cut with sawdust. People boiled wallpaper for glue. Survival was a miracle. April 1945. Hitler's empire is collapsing, but it wouldn't die quietly. The Battle of Berlin was the war's final bloodbath. Over 1.3 million soldiers clashed. Nearly 600,000 killed in just a few weeks. Caught between vengeance and survival, Berliners paid the price for their leader's madness. But the horror didn't begin in WWII. The Somme, 1916. Day 1, 57,000 British casualties. The bloodiest day in their military history. In total, over 1 million dead and wounded. It wasn't a battle. It was mechanized death on an industrial scale. Okinawa, 1945. The Pacific's final nightmare. Nearly 300,000 dead. Soldiers, civilians, children. Entire families leapt off cliffs rather than be captured. It was a battle, but it felt like the apocalypse. Okinawa wasn't just a battle. It was a preview of what the invasion of Japan could have become. And then, the war no one talks about. The Rzhev Meat Grinder. Between 1942 and 1943, Soviet and German troops clashed near Rzhev in a brutal, forgotten campaign. Over 1.5 million casualties. Yet, it's barely mentioned in textbooks. Soldiers froze, bled, vanished into the forests, and history barely blinked. Some battles become legends. Others are erased by time, politics, or shame. But war doesn't choose favorites. Its cost is always the same: human lives, shattered families, lost futures. The truth is, Stalingrad was iconic, but it was never alone. To understand war, don't just remember the battles you're taught. Remember the ones you're not.